In Season 2 of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Galadriel and Elrond unexpectedly shared a kiss. Season 3 sets up an even more bizarre event. Elrond thought it may be his last farewell to Galadriel at Adar's camp when he slipped her a pin, believing it would let her go. The incident is contentious. Since these two never had a romance in Tolkien's writings, this kiss, regardless of its nature, was an unexpected departure from canon. If it is strange now, though, it will only get more so later. The Rings of Power on Prime Video is currently a topic of discussion due to the numerous canon revisions that have caused significant division within the fandom. While some of these changes are modest, others in the Lord of the Rings legendarium have significantly more impact. Naturally, we can never expect a screen adaptation to be exactly like the source. TV shows like Rings of Power are their own artistic form. However, given the impending canon narrative that Prime Video cannot cut, and which will likely appear in Rings of Power Season 3, Elrond and Galadriel's kiss seems a bit more random. The finale of Rings of Power Season 2 will set up Rivendell's foundation. Apart from his kiss with Galadriel, Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 7, has built up Elrond's canon narrative fairly egregiously. Despite his inevitable defeat in the Siege of Eregion, the dwarves of Khazad-dûm will timely arrive to stop the orcs from wiping out all survivors. Elrond will guide these elves to a nearby valley where they will be safer from Sauron's armies. Elrond would remain leader in this paradise, known later as Imladris or Rivendell, until the events of The Lord of the Rings. Although Rings of Power might undoubtedly alter the specifics of this narrative, Elrond seems to reach Rivendell either in the finale or close to the start of Rings of Power Season 3. This will allow him to meet his wife, Celebrian, thereby beginning a new chapter in his life. Celebrian is Galadriel's daughter, so his brief amorous encounter with her will seem a bit alien rather than produce an envious love triangle. Elrond should meet not too long after Rivendell establishes. In canon, Elrond gathers a council in Rivendell soon after founding it as a refuge. The main objective of this conference will be to decide the fate of the 3 Elven Rings, which Sauron will bury somewhere to keep out of his grasp or influence. Naturally, at this conference will be Galadriel, High King Gil-galad, and Círdan. But that's not all. Certain readings of Tolkien's writings suggest that Galadriel took her daughter, Celebrian, to the council in Rivendell, and that this is when Elrond first saw and developed feelings for her. Galadriel and Elrond's existing relationship, even if it is merely friendship, makes the notion that the latter marries the daughter of the former quite awkward. Whether this is the narrative Rings of Power based on is hard to say. Galadriel stated that her husband, Celeborn, died in the First Age, but she omitted mentioning Celebrian. The showrunners of Rings of Power have already confirmed Celeborn's return, despite the need for many revelations and clarifications before his appearance. Still, Galadriel and Elrond's established relationship, even their friendship, makes the notion that the latter marries the daughter of the former quite awkward. Rings of Power has transformed Celebrian's story, but she can't be cut entirely. Clearly, Rings of Power's narrative won't be the same as Celebrian's from Tolkien's novels. Canon never made any mention of Galadriel and her daughter's estrangement, and these two obviously don't interact much throughout the Prime Video series. Galadriel might believe Celebrian is dead, like Celeborn, and that a joyful reunion would feature in Rings of Power Season 3. Alternatively, Celebrian may have changed her birth year and will be born in later seasons. Nobody of these choices appeals to me. Still, this would be better than Rings of Power totally cutting Celebrian. Arwen's mother, she is consequently essential in the future narrative of The Lord of the Rings. Although the Prime Video series could reasonably suggest that Elrond will finally meet and fall in love with Celebrian, this would be a tremendous injustice to both characters. Particularly following the passionate kiss with Galadriel, viewers unfamiliar with Elrond's narrative will be searching for ways in which Second Age events relate to Lord of the Rings. Celebrian is the secret. Rings of Power won't make their romance any different.